apartment fire. It happened on Julia Avenue near the I-85 and I-77 interchange. Crews were able to get that fire under control in just 12 minutes. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
Happening today, Charlotte airport workers expected to testify at tonight's city council meeting. They are demanding safer conditions and higher wages. Workers are asking city leaders to pass what they call the Charlotte Acting for Safety and Efficiency Ordinance. They say it will help address high turnover issues.
And in just hours, we're expected to get our first look at phase 2 of the renovations at the Spectrum Center. Among the expected upgrades are wider concourses, more seating, and new design features that give fans better views of the court, even from the concessions area. It's all part of a multi-million-dollar effort to modernize the arena, which sees more than 1 million visitors each year. We were expected to learn more at a media event happening at 11 this morning.
Taking you out on the roads now. The biggest slowdown this morning is going to be due to this serious accident on I-85 southbound at Sam Wilson Road. The shoulder is currently blocked, likely with emergency vehicles, so you can see the backups from that crash. Also looking at this new crash, this on University City Boulevard eastbound near the intersection of Back Creek Church Road. Big picture, starting to see color pop up everywhere across the area, meaning it is slow out there. As we take a live look outside from South Charlotte, I-77 at Nations Ford Road. At least it's a nice morning, Chris.
Yeah, Meck, a great lead in. 57 degrees right now and 79 a little bit later on today. Yesterday we hit 75, today 79, so it's warmer, still feels great, mostly sunny skies. And then on the way up, we have the lower 80s, near 90 on Wednesday. Slight rain chances, but nothing really big, and then a delightful weekend ahead. So all right, y'all.
We like delightful.
We do indeed.
And swell.
And swell. A reminder, the news does not end here. We're live all day with breaking news, weather, and traffic.
Over on WCNC Plus, we're streaming now. Make sure you join us.
Happy Monday morning, everybody. We're live right now at 7 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. The weekend weather was nice for the Carolinas, and the warm-up could be on the way this week. The Monday is off to a great start. Meteorologist Chris Mulcahy has the details of our impact forecast.
And it is a great day. The sun officially rose up at 6:36. It was breathtaking views. Now we can see those Carolina blues, some upper level to mid-level clouds on this April 28th. 57 degrees right now in Charlotte, 51 in Boone, 52 degrees in Shiraz. So this is about the bottom. It's usually within an hour of the sunrise that we hit our low temperatures before we start to see a nice little gradual climb. So as you're heading out the door, this is going to be the coolest. Then we have 63, 66. And then boom, up to around 70 degrees to end the morning. We're calling today delightfully swell. As you work your way through the afternoon, we have the lower to the mid 70s by the early afternoon. By the way, yesterday's high was 75. We're about 3 to 4 degrees warmer than that today, reaching the upper 70s by the end of the day. Not a lot of wind today to mix everything. So I think at most you have maybe a 5 to 8 mile per hour breeze, but staying calm for the most part. Sunset time at 8:07. Temperatures down through the 70s and still rocking the upper 60s. All right, by about 9 p.m. And over the coming days, we're down to 54, so only a little bit cooler than this morning for Charlotte. And then 83 and 88. 88 would match the warmest temperature we've had so far this year. And of course, that'll be replaced by the 90s before you know it, really by the end of May, heading into June especially. But our high temperatures are still above normal. The normal is 77, and we're exceeding that. And then eventually we'll reach about the 78 mark to 79 once you head into May. And it looks like our lows are also going to be very mild as well, holding on to the 60s. Now let's talk about rain. We had several rain chances last week, and you're probably saying, well, Chris, I did not see that much rain. Well, exactly. So drought feeds drought. So oftentimes you can have rain chances, but it can be too dry. There was also an interesting setup that things didn't really stack up and line well for rain, especially thunderstorms to form. Everything needs to come together, and you need a bunch of boxes checked. We didn't necessarily have that. So let's move forward. We do have a chance for rain, but it isn't immediate. So here's what's happening. I think that you are going to see maybe some rain on Thursday, but our futurecast is even showing a chance for it on Tuesday. I think that mainly stays in the western side of the Carolinas. So the mountains, if you're watching, I think you do have a better chance for rain maybe on Tuesday late day, Wednesday late day. We'll have a chance for a spotty shower on Thursday, but you notice most of the activity is further off towards the west. It's not until you get about Friday that we start to see a more interesting setup, that the axis of that front drapes itself across the Carolinas, and then a nice little high pressure system digs in. And these during the wintertime will cool us down big time, but this time is actually just going to keep things pretty pleasant. You can see here for our Love and Life concert cast, we do have some green here on the map right around 8 o'clock. So Benson Boone plays at 8 to 9. And then we have 9:30 to 11, Gwen Stefani. So right now, it looks like there could be rain for Friday. After that, I think that we clear out heading into Saturday, and then you don't have to worry about it. Then it's just going to be a dry concert cast. As you can see here, everything is perfectly fine. But I'm just letting you know, if you're going to that concert, it's going to be a big deal here in Charlotte. That's the only rain chance we had. But hey, it also rained for Stevie Nicks, and actually it enhanced the performance. So 88 degrees for our top spot this week on Wednesday. Once that front passes on Friday, I think you could have a lingering shower maybe heading into Saturday, but we're right back to the mid to the upper 70s, just like what we had on Sunday, like what we have today. So a picture perfect forecast. We desperately need the rain, but hey, we'll still enjoy these beautiful days in the meantime. Now I'm going to direct things over to Becca, who's had an up and down morning commute. Up or down? Where are we at right now?
I'd say on the downhill trend, especially as we are in the thick of rush hour traffic. West Charlotte is seeing the biggest slowdown, and that is I-85 southbound at Sam Wilson Road. The shoulder is currently blocked off to a serious crash, and you can see this is a screenshot of the backups on I-85 southbound, so you'll definitely want to avoid the area. In addition, still have this crash, University City Boulevard eastbound, crash at Mack Creek Church Road. This is the shoulder that is blocked on I-85 southbound. You can see the reds and delays associated with it. Best alternate route right now and workaround is to take Wilkinson Boulevard instead. Also looking at this new accident, this is Providence Road, crash being reported at the intersection of Blueberry Lane. And of course, zooming out, lots of red, especially from Gaston inbound into Mecklenburg County on I-85 northbound. Also a little bit slow on 77 northbound over towards South Charlotte. The beautiful live view of our camera on the Iredell-Mecklenburg County line, I-77, looking good over there.
Happening today, big changes are coming to the Spectrum Center. And later this morning, we'll get our first look at the next phase of renovations. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live in Uptown this morning with a closer look at what fans and families can expect at the Spectrum Center. Good morning, Richard.
Yeah, good morning to you, Lisa. Good Monday morning, everyone out there, all our plushers watching us. The Spectrum Center is relatively new, but it's going through some changes to make the experience of watching a game, a concert, or anything in this venue a lot more pleasurable. Part 2, the second phase of the reimagined Spectrum Center project, will be revealed later this morning at a media event here in Uptown. Among the expected upgrades we already know about are wider concourse, more seating, and new design features that the ownership group says will give fans better views of the court, even from the concessions area. It's all part of a multi-million-dollar effort to modernize the arena, which sees over 1 million visitors every year. The Hornets say it's not just a facelift, it's about rethinking how fans experience concerts, sporting events, and of course live events. HSE's Chief Venues Officer Donna Julian with why the Spectrum Center is so vital for Uptown and for the 1.2 million fans who come to venture here every single year.
An ownership perspective, they want it has to be a world-class facility. But for the citizens of Charlotte and our community, they come here, they have their memories they've seen from a concert to Hornets games. They deserve a top-notch facility.
Yeah, and she went on to say some other things. The top-notch facility, she also says that the ownership group is working hard to make sure that the money, the partnership, because a lot of this money, millions of dollars, will also come from the city, and that money works together to make this facility a top-notch facility throughout this entire region and the country for that matter. So a lot of the events, not just the Hornets playing here, but a lot of the events that take place here will be an experience for fans to come out and enjoy. We'll have some of that preview of Phase 2 a little bit later on today, and we'll bring it to you both here as well as online, all our social media platforms. We're right here in Uptown, outside the Spectrum Center. Richard Devane, Lisa, guys, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Richard, that sounds good. I'm sure a lot of people want to see what Phase 2 entails.
Once you can get your hands on the renderings, they can become much more real and something to get excited about. All right, Richard, thanks. 7:07 right now on WCNC Plus, and a crime alert this morning in West Charlotte, where one person's hurt after an overnight shooting. It happened on South Ramsey Street near Rossell's Ferry Road and Brookshire Freeway. This is video from our crews there at the scene. We know one person was hurt but is expected to be okay. It's not clear yet if police have any suspects in custody. In South Carolina, Chester City leaders weighing an ordinance that would ban toy guns in public spaces. Police say they've received several complaints about teens carrying toy guns in public, sometimes while wearing ski masks. You can imagine the danger that poses. While the toys are marketed as harmless, officers warn that this situation can lead to dangerous and even deadly situations. The department says they're being proactive, but people we spoke to, they seem to have some mixed feelings about it.
So precautionary for children to remain mindful that these are Nerf guns. These aren't supposed to be envisioned as like, I guess, a real gun.
I don't think they should be banned.
The ordinance would place restrictions on how and where these toy guns can be used. This morning, officials also urging parents to have conversations with their kids about these risks.
An investigation is underway this morning after a car crashed into a crowd in Vancouver over the weekend, killing 11 people and injuring dozens of others. That car drove through an enclosed area during a Filipino Heritage Festival on Saturday. Investigators identified the driver as 30-year-old Kai Jai Adam Low. He reportedly has a history of mental illness and is known to police. Officers confirmed this was not an act of terrorism. Vancouver officials held a news conference yesterday to express their grief.
What happened at the Lapu Lapu Festival last night was unthinkable. Families gathered to celebrate, to dance, to share their culture and their pride. And in an instant, their world was shattered.
Officials warn that the death toll could rise in the coming days.
It's about 7:10 now. A live look right now at St. Peter's Basilica this morning, and you can see the square is nearly empty, much different than it was last week when tens of thousands came to pay their respects to Pope Francis. Now, efforts expected to get underway this week to choose a new pope after Pope Francis died 1 week ago. Tens of thousands of mourners waited hours in line yesterday to pay their respects at the tomb where Pope Francis was laid to rest Saturday. Many were emotional as they remembered the Pope who brought people together in life and death. NBC's Ann Thompson has a closer look at the ceremony.
In a service grand and surprisingly personal, the world said goodbye to Pope Francis. A simple wooden coffin for the man who wanted to be remembered as a pastor. 250,000 people jammed St. Peter's Square and its surrounding streets. Most never met him, including Father Jim Loughran, one of hundreds of priests celebrating the funeral mass.
Francis was an example to me of gentleness, kindness, invitation, hospitality. He was an example to me of a good shepherd.
The powerful were there too. President Donald Trump, former President Joe Biden, Prince William. The only world leader to get applause, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky.
Una chiesa.
In an unusually personal homily, the Dean of the College of Cardinals, Giovanni Battista Re, praised Francis' vision that the church should be a home for all, reaching out to those society shunned, including refugees. Mere feet from President Trump, Battista Re quoted Francis' plea to build bridges, not walls. Messages that resonate with Luke Parlow and Brett Rotz, studying to be priests in Rome. Luke distributed communion at the Mass.
Pope Francis' message of being able to say, I know you're trying. God is a God of mercy. So if you fall, I can help you. The church helps you.
Brett remembered the Pope's advice on living in Rome.
He told us that Rome is like a really good bottle of whiskey. You should enjoy it, but not to have too much.
It was through Rome Francis traveled one last time in his electric Popemobile, a procession of faith cheered by 150,000 people to his beloved Basilica Santa Maria Maggiore, where he was laid to rest.
Questa preghiera de voi su di me.
12 years ago, Pope Francis asked the world to pray for him. Today, the world asked him to pray for them.
That was NBC's Ann Thompson reporting. Tomorrow marks 1 year since 4 law enforcement officers were tragically shot and killed in East Charlotte. This weekend, the community remembered their lives and legacies at the Tunnel to Towers climb. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay was there to learn about their message.
Tunnel to Tower honors first responders killed in the line of duty and financially supports their families left behind. This year in Charlotte, that message is important to everyone. Climbing with a purpose. For the police department and Chief Johnny Jennings, that purpose is moving forward.
Many of the officers who were injured on that day have returned to duty. This is a true testament to their resiliency and strength and dedication.
For the families, that purpose is moving forward with hope.
Never want to miss an opportunity to honor my best friend.
On April 29, 2024, Ashley Iyer lost her husband, CMPD Officer Joshua Iyer, along with Deputy U.S. Marshal Thomas Weeks and NC Department of Adult Correction investigators William Elliott and Sam Peloche.
I am so glad that you are still here. And I know for a fact that Joshua Iyer is so glad that you are still here too.
Tunnel to Tower Foundation supports young families like the Ayers who have lost a first responder, both financially through paying mortgages and emotionally through events like this, where 1,800 people climbed more than 1,400 steps, including former Panther Mike Rucker.
We play games in here. There's a lot of laughter in here, a lot of cheering going on in here, but we also want to reach out to the community. This is our house.
The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department making changes to support their officers as well, like bolstering the Office of Employee Wellness.
You can't hide from pain and trauma, but you can help deal with it by seeking counseling, by talking to one another.
That message coming from Chief Jennings.
It isn't just about grief, it's about hope.
Moving forward for the community and climbing with hope for the families. In Uptown, Julie Kay, WCNC Charlotte.
In addition to the Tunnel to Towers climb, CMPD is remembering those fallen officers with a new documentary. It looks back at the events of that tragic day with new interviews and the community's response. You can watch it on the WCNC Charlotte app. Tomorrow, we are having a 5:30 p.m. special taking a look back at that day, what has changed since, any lingering questions, and remembering the officers. And starting today, we will also be streaming coverage right here on WCNC Plus. Make sure that you continue to watch WCNC Plus for free and stay with us.
7:15 right now. New developments this morning on efforts to recover from the recent wildfires. North Carolina Governor Josh Stein extending the state of emergency for 34 counties in the western part of the state. The declaration will be in place for another 30 days. It helps make sure impacted areas get the resources they really need to recover. Crews responded to more than 2,300 wildfires in March and April, including the Bee Rock Creek fire in McDowell County that burned more than 2,000 acres. That extension comes as we mark 7 months since Hurricane Helene hit the Carolinas, and even now, cleanup efforts are still underway in Chimney Rock. The storm shattered storefronts, gutted homes, broke hearts, wiped away parts of Main Street. But we went back to check in with the town 7 months later, and despite what many have lost, they continue to stand strong and determined.
I never faltered. You have to go on. That's my personality. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna get back.
Chimney Rock officials hope to have Main Street businesses up and running by Memorial Day weekend.
More severe weather is on the way today for parts of the Midwest. Chris is joining us now, tracking the flooding across the country. And I think I read something like 36 million people are under alerts for this.
And some that you wouldn't really expect, that there's a high chance for strong tornadoes in Minnesota and Wisconsin. So the extreme northern part of the outskirts of Tornado Alley. So let's go to some of the Midwest storms and what we've been seeing. Check out that flooding that came along with this. Now, what you're looking at right now is a live rescue that happened here where we had people that saw about 7 inches of rain, and they actually had to evacuate some neighborhoods. One resident actually says that a neighbor's vehicle was spotted floating down the river, where that's why we always tell you to turn around, don't drown. Here's what they had to say.
All of the cars are off the curve. My neighbor's car was floating down the river. Here earlier is a black Nissan. I don't know if they pulled it out. And I'm in a truck, and my truck has actually been spinned around a couple times.
So shelters are set to help the people who are displaced. But the big thing here is that this is just day one. And the big thing about Helene, it's the days of rain that came before that made Helene a thing. And that's exactly what we could see here for some of the flood impacts. But then I think the biggest story is really the tornado threat and the severe threats that could come through this part of the United States, where we don't really think about this as an area that'll have an area of magenta, which means the highest percent chance you can have for a tornado threat. And anything that has these hashed lines through it, as we call them, that's a chance for strong tornadoes. That's EF2 or greater, so winds over 110 miles per hour. But actually, it's not too crazy to think that tornadoes happen through here. This is our old thinking of Tornado Alley. You're like, oh, Texas, Oklahoma, up into Kansas and Nebraska. No, Tornado Alley is actually really expanded. We've been seeing a lot more tornadoes in what's called Dixie Alley, but it does go as far north as all the state of Iowa, over to Illinois and parts of Indiana, and even up into Minnesota. So yeah, it's just in the outskirts of our typical tornado activity, but everything is coming together for a picture perfect or worst case scenario in the weather world. So it's this big spot that we're going to be keeping an eye on. I think you have a major chance for a tornado outbreak that is associated with this, and then you have this little tail along the front that dips down towards the south. So that's severe chance number one. Then eventually it'll slide its way further off towards the east. Still a high risk for storms in the eastern side of Ohio. That's going to affect areas such as Pittsburgh up into western New York around Syracuse. And then it's the final blast over the next 3 days. We have another developing low over Texas. But meanwhile, we're sitting pretty in between. So here's the changes that you can expect in the near term. So day 4 of the forecast, getting to Thursday, I think that's our next best chance for rain. There's the slightest chance for a shower on Wednesday, but I think it's really Thursday night heading into Friday that we see some rain push into the area. Then will dry out. Here's the problem. On Friday, what's happening on Friday? We've been mentioning it. The Love and Life. Yeah, the Love and Life concert is going to be happening. So I think this front is literally going to be arriving by late day. That could provide some showers and storms. So keep that in mind. I know we have Benson Boone and then also Gwen Stefani that are closing out the shows. Good chance for rain at that point. But hey, I remember Stevie Nicks in the interview said the rain actually made it better. So we'll see how it is. Thunder and lightning is going to be a big player as well. But then after that, you're going to have a nice high pressure system that's going to settle in. And that's going to dry things out by the end of the weekend. But the other big story that we are developing across the Carolinas is the lack of rain. So we desperately need it. Seeing a very low chance for rain this week. Not much is going to add up to it. So we're still going to be in the deficit for another week. But just letting you know, Friday is your best chance for rain, if any. Now let's direct the attention over to our morning commute, which is starting to hit its peak.
Yeah, it's been a busy Monday morning so far, and as we take a live look outside, this is I-77 at the John Boak Freeway. A nice shot of uptown Charlotte over there, and that is where we have some 11 Life closures starting at 9 a.m. this morning. We'll close all the way through May 7th at midnight. This is going to first impact 7th Street from North Brevard to North Caldwell, and then it's also going to close down 8th Street as well from Brevard all the way to the light rail track. So just keep that in mind. Again, this is going to be the area where they are setting up for Love and Life. Big picture, you can see lots of red, especially over towards West Charlotte and Gastonia. This is due to that shoulder being closed on I-85 southbound at Sam Wilson Road due to that previous accident, and I have not seen any break in the delays from this crash. So still, best alternate route would be to take Wilkinson Boulevard and completely avoid that area. Looking at a new crash potentially involving a pedestrian. This is impacting Equipment Drive at Cannon Avenue, just north of 85, and then over towards East Charlotte, Central Avenue at Redmond Road, seeing a crash being reported there. Drive safe, y'all.
It's WCNC trivia time, and today's trivia is all about the name, the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets, we know them as basketball, but baseball? Basketball, baseball. Yeah, the Charlotte Hornets playing the spectrum as a great basketball team, or at least normally that way. Of course, this year a whole different situation. But if you go back in time from 1901 to 1973, the Charlotte Hornets name applied to baseball teams right here in the Queen City. Got a picture. This is the 1937 Charlotte Hornets. You can see the Hornets insignia right there on the baseball uniform. Same 1958, the Charlotte Hornets baseball team. And back in those days, they played at Clark Griffith Park, eventually changed to Crockett Park. By the way, that stadium, that park, is in what's now South End. But that's a whole nother story. That's your trivia today. I'm Larry Sprinkle.
The NFL draft complete and 8 new rookies now with the Carolina Panthers. This is the video of the first round pick, T-Mac, hitting the keep pounding drum. This was at Bank of America Stadium over the weekend. The wide receiver, a surprise pick to many fans. The team was expected to go with defense, but in the second round and third round, no surprises, as the Panthers did just that. Here's a look at some of the selections. In the second round, Carolina took edge rusher Nick Scorton. Round 3, another edge with, this is going to be a difficult one.
I wasn't going to try it.
Princely Umanmi Ulaine. They had 2 picks in the round 4. Taking running back Trevor Etne, who was Princely's former teammate in Florida, as well as Lathan Ransom as well.
Now, the Panthers also got 2 picks in round 5, defensive tackle Cam Jackson and tight end Mitchell Evans. And in round 6, another wide receiver Jimmy Horn Jr. from Colorado. So the Panthers' 8 draft selections are evenly split between offensive and defensive players.
And even though the draft is over, the Carolina front office stayed busy. The Panthers went to work in the undrafted free agency window and got a crucial specialist as well. Kicker Ryan Fitzgerald from Florida State was perfect last season on field goals and hasn't missed an extra point in 2 years. Some other notable names include South Carolina linebacker Bam Martin-Scott, 3 offensive linemen, a quarterback, and a couple of receivers as well.
And several local products are also signing as undrafted free agents. From Myers Park, Jordan Bly is signing with the Giants. South Meck's Bryson Nesbitt, a tight end out of UNC, is joining the Minnesota Vikings. Another Tar Heel out of Chambers High School linebacker Power Eccles is signing with the Bears. And Providence High School's Eddie Zaplicki, awarded as the nation's best punter this year, he will sign with the Kansas City Chiefs. So
I think good
luck to all of them.
For all those folks. Life changed in 1 weekend for them.
Seriously.
Honestly.
I mean, they were sending the jets in. It was so cool.
I know.
I love seeing the emotions, but I truly think that the Panthers nailed this. They did a lot of skillful trades, trading up. They got a lot of value. That Trevor Etienne.
Yes.
So his brother Travis plays for the Jaguars, and even his brother says, "Well, my younger brother's better than me." So I think that they really got a steal there. And then Nick Scorton has actually dropped 40 pounds in the offseason. So he said he feels stronger, he feels faster. So I think they got everything at a value. And a lot of people say, "Oh, well, McMillan went too early," and I was like, he's the best wide receiver in the draft. So what they did was they really helped each side of the ball. So get excited, Panthers fans. I think we already hit our bottom.
All right.
Oh, he does sports. He does
Let's
weather.
go.
Come on, let's go.
That's
Oh.
right.
Give me that drum.
That's right. All right, let's take live pictures right now over your Monday. By the way, he's taking off his sports hat. He's going to put on his weather hat. Chris is going to have another check of your forecast coming up in just about a minute. Becca's going to have your Monday morning commute. Then we're back with the top stories today at 7:30 right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good morning, everybody. We got the golden rays. We got those clouds that are trying to get out of here. This is, I think, what a good portion of the day is going to look like. It's either going to be a sunny sky to a mostly sunny one, as you see here in the background. 57 degrees right now in Charlotte, 50 degrees in Salisbury, and then 54 degrees right here around Morganton. It's going to be a great day, so I hope you get outside and enjoy it. Yesterday we hit 75. Today we have the mid to the upper 70s. All right. Barely a breeze at times, and most getting up to about 10 miles per hour. Our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast shows the temperatures are on the way up from here. We have the lower to the mid 80s tomorrow, near 90 on Wednesday. Rain chances start to creep in, especially on Thursday night and Friday night, but we should dry out just in time for another glorious weekend with highs in the upper 70s. Now let's hit the roads with Becca to see what's going on.
And outside right now, taking live outside I-77 at Atondo Avenue. Both those north and southbound lanes looking good, but over towards South Charlotte, the exact opposite, very slow on 77 northbound, making your way from York inbound into Mecklenburg County. Got a couple of things going on, including this one. Earlier crash has the shoulder blocked at I-85 southbound at Sam Wilson Road. It's still seeing a thick layer of delays. Best alternate route would be to take Wilkinson Boulevard and completely avoid that area.
6:30 now on this Monday morning. Thanks for joining us live here on WCNC Plus. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Happy Monday, everybody. Happening today, Charlotte Douglas workers expected to speak at tonight's city council meeting. They're demanding higher pay and they want safer working conditions.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live for us this morning with a closer look at exactly what they're asking for and how this could impact our next flights. Destiny.
Good morning. We're outside the Charlotte Mecklenburg Government Center where a week ago these airport workers were rallying outside, and tonight they'll be back but inside at the Charlotte City Council meeting, hoping to convince Charlotte City Council members to take action on wages and safety at Charlotte Douglas. These workers are going to be pushing for the Charlotte Acting for Safety and Efficiency Ordinance, or CASE. The proposal would set minimum wage standards, guarantee paid sick leave, and require stronger training for airport workers employed by private contractors. At the rally here in Uptown last week, employees spoke alongside leaders like Congresswoman Alma Adams and Councilwoman Tijuana Brown, calling for better conditions. One worker described how short staffing and rushed schedules are creating serious safety risks.
The plane won't be moved until it's clean. I was getting rushed to do those planes, rushed to clean those planes, rushed to search those planes.
Workers say rushing through important safety procedures and working under those conditions not only puts them at risk, but could also impact flight readiness and passenger security. Supporters of CASE also argue that passing the ordinance would stabilize the workforce and improve overall safety at one of the world's busiest airports. Now, tonight, airport workers are expected to speak during the public comment period of the Charlotte City Council meeting tonight at 6 p.m. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Uptown.
And important to hear, because a lot of people, when you get onto your flight, you want to make sure that all the safety checks have been done, everything is as it should be. So when you hear these workers complaining, it makes you pause for a moment.
It can have a ripple effect that brings up issues of safety, security,
Correct.
that sort of thing. So,
Correct.
All right, Destiny, thank you. Keep us posted.
Well, good morning, everyone. Sorry, I got a little confused. I have Antarctica temperatures up here. We are going to see a pretty decent day. You looked at that and you're like, what is going on? Chris, what are you doing over here? Well, as you can see, our sun rose up officially at 6:36. And then April 28th, the day today is going to be a pretty good one. Yesterday we hit 75. Well, today we're going to be in the upper 70s. 57 is a great start. So we've already hit our bottom. We're back to 50 degrees around Boone. We were just at 51, so this is it. This is the coldest part of the day before temperatures will start to ramp back up. For the afternoon forecast, temperatures are going to be cranking up into the upper 70s, and I think overall it's going to be a mostly sunny day throughout the afternoon, pretty much what we had yesterday. And then our extended forecast, you can see temperatures are going to reach around that 88 degree point, close to 90 degrees, before we have the upper 70s coming into this coming weekend. So all in all, it is going to be a pretty decent week, pretty dry overall. The big story across the country is that big spot that you see up near Minneapolis, the western side of Wisconsin, and the northern part of Iowa. It's right in this little stretch, very high chance for storms, and that's going to eventually stretch right around Lake Erie from Ohio up into Pennsylvania and around New York. And then the final hurrah for at least this line will be here in Texas and Dallas, spot that is usual for a breakout of severe storms, especially for this time of the year. But I want to show you the evolution that we're going to see a little bit closer to home. Eventually, we're going to have this front that drags in from the west, and that's going to allow for our upcoming rain chances. So we have the slightest chance this coming Wednesday. I think it's really going to be Thursday night and again on Friday night, which isn't great if you're trying to go to the concert. We do have a high pressure system that starts to build in behind this. That eventually is going to allow for some drier air to work its way in. So pretty decent end of the weekend overall. This isn't enough rain, though. This isn't going to help out our drought status, which continues to get worse and worse each and every week. Every week we have an update that comes in on Thursday, and I wouldn't be surprised if this next update is going to show more of a moderate to severe drought across certain parts of the state. Our precipitation chance is just isolated isolated to scattered right now. That could change. And our 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook is not looking great as well. More of a better chance of drier days where drought sometimes feeds drought. And here's what we've seen over the last 60 days. As you can see, this map continued to grow. A lot more of this tan color. There wasn't a huge change from the most recent update, but I think that again is going to change this coming Thursday. So right now it is a gorgeous day. Looking out, a bunch of those upper level clouds all in all across our Mr. Sparky Carolina camera network. Beautiful over here in Concord. And then let's end with a stat of the day. Becca actually dug this one up, that this is going to finish as the warmest April in Charlotte history, and that dates back to 1879. As of yesterday, we average a high and low of 65.9 degrees. That is smashing the previous record set back in 2017, and just last year was actually the 5th warmest April. So we continue those warmer temperatures as those temps jump to around 90 degrees on Wednesday for the last day of the month. As I know, in the traffic world, it's usually around this time that things really start picking up. Let's see how we're faring with Becca.
Definitely some headaches out there, especially over towards York County. This is a live look from I-77 at Gold Hill Road. Those northbound lanes still packed with traffic as drivers head inbound into Mecklenburg County. A little lighter traffic up towards the north. This is I-77 at Sanford Road over towards Huntersville. Looking a lot nicer there. Right now, drive times from Matthews to Charlotte are up to 27 minutes. Salisbury 57, Wax up to 39, and Belmont has stayed pretty steady at 24 minutes. Here is big picture. Still lots of running congestion, basically I-85 north and southbound from Gaston inbound into Mecklenburg County. But got a couple of problem spots out there with some incidents, including this one. This is a crash being on Providence Road at Blueberry Lane. And then just north of I-85 got a crash involving a pedestrian being reported on Equipment Drive at Cannon Avenue, causing some delays there. At East Charlotte Central Avenue at Redmond Road, this crash is still causing just a few minor delays. Drive safe, y'all.
7:37 right now on WCNC Plus, and breaking just into our newsroom, we are now learning new details about the process to pick a new pope. The Vatican says the conclave to elect Pope Francis's successor will begin on May 7th. That's a week from this Wednesday. It's customary for the conclave to be held 15 to 20 days after the Pope's death. While the process can take days or weeks, the last two popes were both elected within just a couple of days. President Trump back stateside this morning after attending Pope Francis's funeral over the weekend. We're also learning that the president met with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky before leaving Vatican City.
This all comes as deportation efforts continue to dominate headlines heading into President Trump's 100th day in office. That'll be tomorrow. NBC's Bianca Fascini has the latest from Washington.
President Trump back stateside after the funeral for Pope Francis in Italy over the weekend. Trump had a behind-the-scenes meeting in Rome with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky that both described as positive.
We want to continue such meetings to bring peace to Ukraine.
In photos released by the Ukrainian government, the two are seen talking closely, as well as speaking with other leaders from the UK and France. It's a noted change from their last in-person meeting at the White House in February, which ended with Trump calling Zelensky ungrateful. The president will hit the road again Tuesday, hosting a rally in Macomb, Michigan, while deportations and court rulings continue to dominate the headlines. Meanwhile, Tuesday marks 100 days in office for Trump, whose approval rating is sinking. An NBC News Stay Tuned poll shows 55% of Americans disapprove of the way he's handling the White House. He's being hit especially hard on his economic policy, with 61% disapproving of his tariff plan.
It's all coming down. It's all looking good. The tariffs are strong.
The numbers come as stock market turmoil and recession fears plague anxious consumers, already wary of inflation.
Now, President Trump is expected to mention easing inflation during his rally in Michigan Tuesday, but the latest consumer price index shows it remains virtually unchanged from the start of the year. In Washington, Bianca Fascini, NBC News.
Well, this weekend, runners here in the Queen City are going to lace up their shoes for a good cause. The second annual Meck Mile event returns with a special focus on giving back to the community, specifically to those in Western North Carolina.
WCNC Charlotte's Miles Harris joins us live this morning. So, Miles, what can we expect this year?
Well, you can expect something for everybody here at Ben and Lisa, and whether you're walking or running with this year's Meck Mile, it's really giving participants a chance to really bringing this community together and in a unique way. This year marks the second time Charlotte has hosted the Meck Mile at Memorial Stadium, and the community fitness event offering more to Charlotte than ever before.
So it's really built for everyone in the community to come out and enjoy.
Miller Yoho with the Charlotte Sports Foundation says that they've evolved the run and expanded the event into a run for everyone.
We really focused on creating a spectator atmosphere, and what people can do is now come out, see professional athletes run the course they ran.
Beyond the chance to see professional runners compete for $20,000, the Meck Mile race is introducing a new element, Run for Relief, where runners are logging miles in efforts to give back to our neighbors in western North Carolina.
Where 8 ultramarathoners are going to be on the course for 4 hours, and people can donate based on the amount of miles they complete. We could not be more excited and appreciative of these people to run so far, but we think it's a really fun way and an impactful way to help our neighbors up in the western part of the state.
Giving the Queen City more than a different perspective, but a chance to give back 1 mile at a time. Ben and Lisa, and there's still good news here. If you're still looking to get involved with this year's Meck Mile, registration is still open, whether you want to run, walk, or even just volunteer. And for more of that information on this year's Meck Mile, you can actually find that by downloading our WCNC Charlotte mobile app. But guys, a lot of excitement. We knew how much of an attraction this was last year, and should be the exact same thing expected come around this year as well. Ben and Lisa.
Sounds like a good time, and it's a win-win. You're getting the exercise you need, and you're raising money to help those affected by Helene.
Miles, how long do you think it would take you to run a mile?
Don't put me on the spot like that, man. No, honestly, I'm not sure. I can't. Don't put me on the spot like that. Look, I can still run miles. I do them, but I don't max out at 1. So I max out at 1. I'm not doing more than 1. I want to say maybe in the 8:39-minute mile, but don't judge me, please.
Oh, no.
Oh, no judgment here.
No judgment from the anchor desk on that one.
No. That's great.
Curious. I think I would be lucky to do like 8:30. It's probably going to be much more like.
I was going to say I'm in like the 9 to 10, but
that's all right. It's good to pace yourself. Pacing is important. That's the name of the game in life and in Meck Miles.
That's the key.
All right, Miles, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Miles. All right, well, let's talk about Antarctica. As the Trump administration cuts budgets for groups like the National Science Foundation, scientists may need to rely more on private tour companies for their research. Meteorologist Chase Kane traveled to Antarctica to explore how ecotourism could make a difference.
Traveling 9,000 miles to Antarctica comes at a cost to our planet. Transportation produces 15% of the pollution making Earth hotter, so I was not surprised my followers noticed.
Does that make me a climate hypocrite for traveling so much? I got this question in a comment.
But this is not a story about shame or guilt. It's just about considering how and why we travel.
These old cliches of seeing is believing. You know, David Attenborough's quote of,
I've always believed that few people will protect the natural world if they don't first love and understand it.
and I think that's really important, and that's the core of what we think, is you have to be able to see things to protect it. By seeing Antarctica, you get to understand its importance. It really sort of opens this Pandora's box of emotions.
The most common emotions seem to be a mix of awe and childlike wonder.
Undoubtedly the most incredible thing I've ever experienced. And there's another whale.
So I think actually experiencing a place brings it to the fore of your mind. It makes you feel a kind of emotional investment, what's called place attachment.
Elizabeth is studying what she calls the ambassador effect. HX Expeditions gives free travel for researchers like her, and in this case, she's interviewing passengers to understand how visiting Antarctica shapes views on climate change.
And what we have found actually is that people who come down as climate deniers are probably going to go back as climate deniers because their views aren't tied to knowledge. You're better off providing routes to action for people who are already on side, which is the majority of people who visit Antarctica.
She's referencing a peer-reviewed study across 125 countries, finding 89% of people want their country's leaders to do more about climate change. Though lower in the U.S., still 3/4 of Americans want our leaders to do more, like the Hickey family visiting from Washington.
You know, we talk a lot in our family about global warming and its impacts, but I think this cruise to Antarctica for us was one to kind of show them the importance of what they will inherit and trying to take care of the Earth.
A message reinforced across this hybrid-powered ship. Giant batteries mean 20% less fuel. Newly installed sensors monitor changes in the ocean. It has an interactive science lab, lecture hall, and excursions to collect data for guest scientists who are studying everything from snow algae to penguins and whales.
We would not be able to support the research that we are supporting if we had not paying customers that would allow our ships to go down south. But I am convinced that this should not be a one operator effort. This should be an industry effort because we only have one planet.
In Antarctica, I'm meteorologist Chase Kane.
So if you want to go to Antarctica for your next spring break, for one, it'll probably take more than your spring break. It's usually like 2 weeks or something.
Okay.
Yep. The best way to do it, take a cruise from the most southern tip of South America. I think it's a small town, it escapes me right now, in Argentina. The problem is you got to take that across what's called Drake Passage.
Yes.
And it's known as like the most dangerous body of water in the world because of the waves. So I had one of my best friends did it a few years ago, and it took several attempts to go.
See, that's what scares me, is that passage.
Yeah, that's the really difficult part. Once you get to Antarctica, it's actually fine. You can see the penguins, and
then you have to go back.
But the passage between Americas to it is the tough part.
It's the Drake's Passage? Is that what it is?
Drake Passage, yeah.
Yeah.
I would do it.
You would?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Is it astronomical?
Astronomical.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe I can get the station to pay for me like Chase did.
Okay, yeah, if that's the case. Do you know what's keeping me the colds? Is because I remember I was complaining when we were in the 30s a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Here are the current conditions here in Antarctica. -63.
Okay, maybe I'm rethinking my idea.
It feels like 89 below. Now, there is, if you ever look at the map, there's that like a long little kind of like island that sticks out. That has historically gotten above freezing.
Look at the high.
Okay.
Yeah, the high is, -37. So.
How does one even dress to like peek your head out just for a minute
I don't
from
even
there?
know. Yeah. See, that's what I'm just thinking.
And
like,
the wind is 20s. Oh, no.
You pay a lot of money.
Yeah, talk about a wind chill.
Be that miserable.
Which, by the way, of course, the world record for the coldest temperature was set in Antarctica. This is back in 1983, so it's been a while. Just a balmy -128.6 degrees.
Let me just say, I'm grateful for those who want to go and do the research.
Good for you.
Thank you for doing that for those of us who don't have the interest.
You do you, but I can't do it. By the way, the coldest Charlotte has ever gotten is -5, and I think that is terrible.
Yeah, that's unheard of. Wow.
So, well, there you know.
Yeah.
That's all I know about Antarctica. And also, fact number 3, I will never be going. Maybe Alaska. I think that's nice.
Alaska,
yeah.
I would do.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Alaska, it's cold, but I don't have to go through the most dangerous waters in the world. So there you go. All right, let's talk a little bit more about this tornado threat. So we're going opposite spectrum from record cold to maybe a record outbreak for at least parts of Minnesota and parts of Wisconsin. Now, this area is not a stranger to tornadoes, but the way that this is setting up, it is very rare whenever you have this color. That is a 15% chance for tornadoes. That is extremely high, my friends. So keep that in mind. I'm showing you this just as a big weather story. Has nothing to do with our forecast. I'm letting you know everything's good. I'm up here talking about other weather because our forecast is so amazing, and I'll get to what you can expect here in a second. But what's really interesting is you might think, hey, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, well, it's technically right on the fringe of what we call the new tornado alley. So you probably noticed that we're actually reporting a lot more tornadoes in what's called Dixie Alley down here in Arkansas over to Alabama and Mississippi. But then it's right up here that actually we're seeing a lot more of the Midwest being dominated by some of these big time tornadoes and tornado outbreaks. So it's that one spot that eventually shifts its way further off towards the east. This is all a very strong cold front. But what's been happening recently is we're not getting the front to pass down towards the south. So it's still a form of atmospheric blocking that things still stay off towards the west. So more rain, more storms in that neck of the woods. Here's what's going to happen. Check it out. We actually have this front that's going to lift its way off towards the north. It's really not until Friday that a secondary cold front is going to push in. That's still going to allow for more moisture. It's going to feel more humid by Thursday. So I think our first chance for rain is going to be Thursday night into Friday morning, and then we'll have Friday anytime during the afternoon heading into the evening. Could be overnight. So there's a lot of question marks here, and it's not great news if you're planning on going to the Love and Light concert. But here's the deal. I'm seeing also a chance that we're dry most of it, and you just see some hit or miss showers and storms. We saw what happened in the most recent rain chances. A lot of them didn't really come to fruition, but the good news is at least we have that high pressure system that's going to be settling back in. So a nice dry weekend. So if we are going to see rain, I think it's mainly going to be a Friday event. So keep that in mind going forward. Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, 88 degrees is the top. So near 90 degrees on Wednesday. That'll be one of the warmer days we've had so far this year. And then heading into the weekend, back to the upper 70s. This is a great looking forecast, by the way, y'all. We officially are calling it May come Thursday. So we have a nice little mix between April and May-like temperatures. And we also have a nice mix of 7 o'clock traffic doing as it always does.
That's right. And the traffic is doing all the traffic stuff for this 7 o'clock hour as we take a live look outside. This is I-77 at Westinghouse Boulevard over in southern Mecklenburg County. And it is very slow moving on those northbound lanes as drivers head inbound into Uptown. Got a couple of incidents out there, including this one. This is inbound Kakindle Road at Providence Road, currently blocking one lane of traffic there. Big picture showing red pretty much everywhere. It has been a rough Monday morning commute. Got a couple of crashes, do want to let you know of so you can avoid them. This one is going to be on Elm Lane, crash being reported at Ballantyne Commons Parkway. And then way up to the north over towards Catawba County, we've got a crash being reported on I-40 westbound, and this is near Fair Grove Church Road. Currently, one lane of traffic is blocked off.
Thanks, Becca. There are more than 1 million small businesses in North Carolina, and starting this Thursday, the city of Charlotte is going to celebrate small businesses in the Queen City for the entire month of May. The campaign is called 31 Days of Biz, and there are a number of events planned to help small business owners and to share information with those thinking of starting their own business.
That presses the fruits and it extracts the fruits and vegetables. Okay. So it does not kill the alive nutrients in it, like bioflavonoids, enzymes.
Reese Daniel explains the process of creating the juices for her Charlotte-based business, Juiced Up Reese.
The moment that I knew that these juices were healthy, I wanted others to experience that same juicing experience.
Juiced Up Reese is just one of the 31 small businesses the city of Charlotte will highlight in May. Daniel started the business in June of 2020 when she was looking for a way to improve her health.
I was suffering from rheumatoid arthritis, irritable bowel syndrome, and I was overweight. A lot of people are obese and they normalize it. I wasn't healthy. I was experimenting on myself with juicing. I take fruits and vegetables and put concoctions together and consume it to see the reaction of my body, if I get benefits, results, or even side effects.
To scale and grow Juiced Up Reese, the self-proclaimed Juice God began using resources provided by the city of Charlotte, specifically for small businesses.
So we try to connect small businesses to our resource partners out in the community to help them start and grow.
Christy Floyd from Charlotte's Economic Development Department says the city's 31 Days of Biz campaign will not only highlight one Charlotte small business each day, but share information about practical tools and resources for business owners.
Small businesses are the backbone of our economy. People don't know it, but there are over 1 million small businesses in North Carolina alone, and small businesses employ more people than these larger companies. So they are very important to our community in terms of wealth and employment for other people.
There will also be a small business networking event in May to connect business owners and community partners. It's also open to anyone considering starting their own business.
It is important to support us because you are helping us help you. You are helping to keep the communities open, helping to build things and so much more.
For a list of events during Charlotte Small Business Month and to register for that kickoff networking event, find this story on the WCNC mobile app. That free networking event for small businesses in Charlotte is going to be held on May 5th at the Market at 7th Street from 5 to 7 p.m. Now, to attend, you have to RSVP by this Thursday, April 30th. All right, tonight, Beyoncé is set to kick off her Cowboy Carter and the Rodeo Chitlin Circuit Tour. It debuts at SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles. Beyoncé is going to perform 32 shows across 9 cities in the U.S. and Europe. That tour is set to wrap up in July in Las Vegas. I think that's the first time I've said chitlin on the air.
On air, at least?
Yeah.
You know, she came through last time around for Renaissance.
Yeah. I wish this one were coming to Charlotte.
And I regret that I did not go to that because I would have liked to see it. And she's not coming here for this one, unfortunately. Oh, well. Next time.
B.
That's right. Live pictures right now over uptown to start your Monday morning. Chris standing by. He's got to check your Monday forecast, and it's turning out to be pretty swell, if I do say so myself. Becca also has a check of your morning commute. And then we're back at the top of the hour with the news of the day right here on WCNC Plus.
Well, good day, everybody. It's going to be a delightful one. Just like yesterday, you have a mostly sunny sky, temperatures reaching the 70s. Feeling really comfortable as well. So I have highs near 80 degrees. Shirai, I think you're going to do it. Upper 70s, mid 70s through the foothills in the northern Piedmont, and then right around 70 degrees up in Boone. It's going to be picture perfect, but it's getting much warmer after that. Check it out. We're actually going to be staying dry in the near term. That we have no rain chances really until I would say later on Thursday, but we're in the 80s by tomorrow, near 90 degrees on Wednesday, and then temperatures start to come down a little bit as we're introducing more clouds and rain chances. So as of right now, I think our 2 best rain chances look to be Thursday night heading into Friday morning, and then late Friday heading into Saturday, but we'll be drying out just in time for the weekend. So far, looking pretty good for our Guy Roofing 7-day forecast heading into May. Becca, what do we need to know about traffic?
Lots of drivers out there. As you can see, live look inside from I-77 at Woodlawn Road. Both north and southbound lanes running just a little bit slow, although we are still accident and incident-free right now on most of the major interstates and highways. Got a couple of problem spots out there, including this one. Incident being reported on inbound Kakindle Road at Providence Road, and you can see currently 1 lane of traffic is blocked off from that. Also, the inner loop of I-485 near Blair Road, crash being reported there, and it is causing some delays.
Streaming live at 8 a.m. right here on WCNC Plus. I'm Ben Thompson.
And I'm Lisa Washington. Happening today, big changes are coming to the Spectrum Center. Later this morning, we'll get our first look at the next phase of renovations. WCNC Charlotte's Richard Devane is live in Uptown this morning with a closer look at what the fans and families can expect. Richard, good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Lisa. Good morning, Ben. Good Monday morning to everyone. A new week and some new changes right here at the Spectrum Center. Now, I won't be able to tell you what they are just yet. That'll come at an unveil in just a few hours, but they promise to be some big changes that the ownership says that fans will really appreciate here. It's the second phase of the reimagined Spectrum Center project, and it'll be revealed later this morning at a media event right here in Uptown. Among the expected upgrades that we know about already that are happening are wider concourse areas. There'll be more seating inside the arena and new design features that give fans a better view of the court, even from the concessions area. It's all part of a multi-million-dollar effort to modernize the arena, which sees visitors come from all around every single year. Now, the Hornets say it's not just a facelift to the Spectrum Center. It's about rethinking how fans experience sports, concerts, and live events. HSE's Chief Venues Officer, Donna Julian, with why the center is so vital for Uptown and for the 1.2 million fans who venture to this area every year.
From an ownership perspective, they want it has to be a world-class facility. But for the citizens of Charlotte and our community, they come here, they have their memories they've seen from a concert to Hornets games. They deserve a top-notch facility.
Yeah, they do. In fact, that unveiling of the preview of Phase 2 takes place in just a few hours. We'll be there. We'll show you what it looks like. The previews, or those renderings, as Ben was saying, we'll preview the renderings, or we'll have the renderings a little bit later on today. Yeah, sounds good. We'll have that for you coming up later. But for now, we're right here outside the Spectrum Center. Richard Devane, we'll send it back to you.
Well said. Just
Thanks,
like I said.
Richard.
All right, Richard, thanks. We appreciate it.
I love that, Richard. Yeah, that was great. We are looking at a beautiful, beautiful day today. If you loved yesterday, you're going to love today. We have those upper level clouds that are drifting out of here, and then we're going to have a mostly sunny sky across the day. And at most, I think it'll be a partly cloudy sky from place to place, but really beautiful. Every single one of our cameras across our Mr. Spark and Carolina Camera Network are looking A-OK. Current temperatures right now, the warm spot, look at you, Charlotte, up to 63 degrees already. 60 degrees in Gastonia, about an hour ahead of schedule. And then we have 79 degrees for a high, so some of us will just tap on that 80-degree point, but we're already into the mid 70s by about 1 o'clock this afternoon. So enjoy the day, get outside, because oftentimes you can have a high near 80 and it's humid. That's not going to be the case. We do have a little bit of green here on the map that represents rain, so at most there is a sprinkle right along the Tennessee border, but the rest of us don't have a problem in the world. Any lingering clouds that we've been showing you will disappear. Only remnants of this, I think, is right along the Tennessee border. Again, slight chance for rain. Really, the only rain that we see here in the southeast is closer to the Georgia coastline. For us, we are good to go. We're staying dry for the next few days. Temperatures dropping back down to the 50s tomorrow, though. So tomorrow will be the coolest morning of the week. Low of 54 degrees around Charlotte. And then we have the mid 50s really achieved by about the 3 to 4 o'clock hour. And then temperatures ramping right back up into the 60s before they're back down in the lower 50s. And then we see another journey back to the 60s. So it's really nice to see over the next 10 days. We're now at the point of the year that I'm not going to be talking about frost or freezing temperatures, at least here in Charlotte, because that would be extremely record breaking if we find anything in the middle of May or even the first part of it. Our forecast for tomorrow, well, that's where the 80s join us, and they will stay here for the rest of the work week. And one of the main reasons why, as we always raise your weather IQ here on WCNC, winds out of the southwest. Whenever winds out of the southwest, especially once they start picking up over 10 miles per hour, if it's a really windy day, we almost call that the blowtorch, because that maximizes your warm up, and we're going to have that in effect over the next few days. Overall, it looks like we're going to be dry on Wednesday, but Wednesday's 88. Yep, that it could be tying the warmest temperature we've had so far in 2025, April 5th. And then we have 86 degrees on Thursday. Still, both of those would be in the top 5 warmest so far. Our rainfall chances, they come up a little bit on Wednesday, but I think it's really late Thursday and then late Friday. That's our current rain chances. I'm still not really confident that we're going to see a lot from this system because the way that things have been. We're right now, if we look at our concert cast for Love and Life, well, right around 8 o'clock, Benson Boone, 8 to 9, could have some rain. Also, Gwen Stefani is in jeopardy, but if the system speeds up any, that could be also affecting some of the earlier shows that start around 2 o'clock to 5 o'clock on some of the main stages, and you still have some big names at that point. But then heading into your Saturday, the next round of concerts begins in the early afternoon. We will be dry at that point. So we are confident that at least the window is going to close as far as our rainfall chances before I think the sun rises up on Saturday. I don't really see that changing unless there's some sort of traffic jam that's unexpected here in the atmospheric streets. And then our weekend forecast showing the upper 70s through this coming weekend. One more moment. Here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. You can see that today, Saturday and Sunday are the days in the upper 70s. The rest of that, a lot more 80s, feeling more May-like as we're closing out April. Now we have to hit the actual streets. I was doing a lot of traffic references accidentally during weather. Now the real traffic with Becca.
All right, Chris, it's that time of the day where I just tell you stay home if you do have any plans that you could skip or wait till later, because this is the big picture traffic map. There is pretty much red, orange, and yellow everywhere you look, so just allow yourself plenty of extra times. Put the active accidents across the area. You can see it is a messy Monday start out there with a couple of new incidents out there. Want to get to this first one that I mentioned about 10 minutes ago. I-485 inner loop near Blair Road. That has cleared to the shoulder, but still causing a stretch of delays here. And then on Albemarle Road, crash being reported at Cabarrus Road, causing just a few minor delays. And then over towards the Charlotte Douglas Airport, new crash being reported on Wilkinson Boulevard at the intersection of Berry Drive. Still have this active incident. This is inbound Kai Kendall Road at Providence Road, currently blocking one lane of traffic there. And as we take a live look outside, close to Uptown, I-77 at the Berkshire Freeway, traffic moving along pretty swiftly over there. Want to let you know of a couple of closures that will happen in Uptown today for Love and Life. This is going to close 9 a.m. this morning and will reopen by May 7th at midnight. This is going to impact East 7th Street from Brevard to Caldwell, and then 8th Street, that's going to close from Brevard to Light Rail Tracks, so just keep that in mind.
8:07 right here on WCNC Plus. You're streaming live. And new this morning, a Winthrop poll just released about 2 hours ago reveals a sharp divide among South Carolinians when it comes to President Trump's job performance. According to the poll, 44% approve, 43% disapprove. And when it comes to hot button issues, a whopping 71% support stricter laws around transgender rights, including bathroom use and athletic competition. The poll also shows South Carolinians deeply divided on the future of Confederate monuments, with nearly a third wanting to keep monuments just the way they are, and whether the U.S. should be declared a Christian nation.
These fresh findings are set to fuel new fights.
Here to talk about it all with us, Scott Huffman, political science professor at Winthrop University. Professor, thanks for waking up with us. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, first up, want to go over the president's approval ratings we just mentioned. It seems about evenly split. 44 feeling positive, 43 not so much. Considering how heavily the state went for Donald Trump, do those numbers surprise you at all?
No, not really. If you take into account those who are not sure, who have no opinion, his approval rating is pushing 50% in the state. So it's overall 44%, but if you only include those who have an opinion, it's a little over 49%. So that makes sense. Now, among Republicans, obviously he's soaring sky high. Among Democrats, there's virtually no support for him whatsoever. Again, that points to a divided state, just like we have a divided nation. When the latest Pew poll came out, if you exclude those who have no opinion, he was at 40. So excluding those who have no opinion, he's about 9 points higher here in South Carolina.
As you said, it seems the country is very much divided. Part of your commentary with this poll is that it depends on which side holds the power, right? You feel positive if your side is in control, the opposite if it's not. It seems that, again, neither party trusts the other, with 81% of Republicans saying that Democrats are just too extreme, 82% of Democrats saying that about Republicans. Any surprises there at all to you?
No, I've been asking this question for the past several polls, including polls of the entire South. And what we're seeing is amazing polarization. So neither side trusts the other side to govern ethically and honestly. And both sides think the other side is too extreme. Now, if you add those two things together, it almost becomes a moral imperative to keep the other side from holding power. Additionally, we ask, are they good at getting their way? And here in South Carolina, we have a supermajority of Republicans in the legislature. The governor is a Republican. And yet a significant number of Republicans said, hey, the Democratic Party is good at getting its way. So they feel even if the other party is out of power, they're still a threat. And that would go both ways. So we are seeing massive amounts of polarization. And for the first time in a few decades, we're actually also seeing that reflected in Congress. 40 years ago, the Senate especially, but the House, our leaders weren't that very far apart, the public a little more so, but now we're seeing massive polarization, and that's not a good sign when it comes to getting things done.
Yeah, that lack of trust is
right.
Poisonous for our political discourse and trying to get anything done. Some of the strongest opinions in this poll came around transgender issues, and I thought this was interesting because a big number, 71% favor or strongly favor laws or policies that require transgender athletes to compete on teams that match the sex they were assigned at birth. What's interesting to me is, though, also 62% strongly favor laws or policies that protect transgender individuals from discrimination when it comes to jobs, housing, and in public spaces like, say, restaurants or stores. Did that surprise you?
That surprised me a little bit. It makes sense. People in America think that others deserve basic rights. So no job discrimination, again, no discrimination in housing. So a majority of everybody and a strong plurality of Republicans, massive majority of Democrats, do not want overt discrimination. They do not want segregation for transgender folks. But when it comes to anything else, anything regarding health care, anything regarding playing on the team of the gender at your birth, especially using the bathroom of, your gender at birth, the public is just not in favor of those things. So we do see strong opinions against the movements of trans folks, but we do not see a desire for overt discrimination. I will note that it's significantly less than 1% of the population, roughly about 0.6% of the population who are transgender. So it's a fraction of a fraction, and this issue is definitely being used as a wedge issue that's far more ideological than it is a policy issue that affects everyday lives.
Think you said it best with just a fraction of a fraction. So much emphasis on it, and we're talking about such a small population. Let's talk about something else. DEI. Of course, there's been a lot of talk about this. The president is nearing his 100th day in office coming up tomorrow. One of the orders talking about DEI and the threat of possibly withholding federal funding for those institutions and organizations that continue with DEI. But in this poll, 39% are expressing some positive feelings toward DEI programs, 29% negative. Any surprises with that? 23% saying they're neutral, so no real strong opinion.
That was a little bit of a surprise until I realized about my own poll. This is the general population. These are not the most passionate partisans. It's not registered voters only. It's certainly not likely voters for any election that's going to be more than a year away. The general population, which includes moderates, a large number of African Americans, have no problem with DEI. Again, it's not a majority, but 10 more points. However, Republicans are strongly against it. So this is the president playing directly to his base, the people that got him elected. And we're seeing the same things in laws being passed in states. Here in South Carolina, anti-DE laws are being passed. They have passed the House. They're being pushed in the Senate. And that has a lot to do with gerrymandering. These legislators have to please the furthest right or the furthest left of their party, because those are the only voters who matter. A majority of both houses in South Carolina legislature did not have an opponent in the last election due to gerrymandering. So this is about conservatives playing to their base far more than it is about the general population.
Finally, a question that pollsters often like to ask is, it gives you a general sense of where we stand and the sentiment across the country. Are we on the right track? 47% think things in the nation are on the wrong track. Explain.
And again, we're seeing people finally begin to feel the effects of tariffs. The news media and, talking heads, I suppose like myself, have been talking about tariffs and what they're going to do for a while. But it's only now that the general public is beginning to feel it. You see when you buy something online, not Amazon, but online from other retailers, it flat out says the prices are higher due to tariffs. People are beginning to feel that. They feel that there's a lot of divisiveness going on in the country. So a plurality of people say we're headed in the wrong direction. That said, almost 70% of Republicans say we're on the right track. And that's because Donald Trump is doing what he said he was going to do with regard to those social culture warrior issues. Most people don't get in the weeds about the policies and trade in the election. It's about my identity and who supports people like me. And the Republicans feel Donald Trump is doing exactly that.
Scott Huffman, professor at Winthrop. The poll came out 6 a.m. this morning. We have you here on WCNC Plus at 8 a.m. We appreciate the quick turnaround.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Y'all were the first to hear about it.
There you go. We like to hear that.
Thank you so much.
All right, Professor, thanks as always. Talk soon. All right, 8:16 right now here on WCNC Plus. In South Carolina, Chester City leaders weighing an ordinance that would ban toy guns in public spaces. Police say they've received a number of complaints about teens carrying toys in public, sometimes wearing ski masks. You can understand how something like that would be problematic. While the toys are marketed as harmless, officers warn they can lead to dangerous, even deadly situations. The department says they're trying to be proactive, but people we spoke to have mixed feelings.
It's a precautionary for children to remain mindful that these are Nerf guns. These aren't supposed to be envisioned as a real gun.
I don't think they should be banned.
The ordinance would place restrictions on how and where these toy guns are used. This morning, officials urging parents to have conversations with their kids about the risks.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since 4 law enforcement officers were tragically shot and killed in East Charlotte. This weekend, the community remembered their lives and legacies at the Tunnel to Towers climb. WCNC Charlotte's Julie Kay was there to learn about their message.
Tunnel to Tower honors first responders killed in the line of duty and financially supports their families left behind. This year in Charlotte, that message is important to everyone. Climbing with a purpose. For the police department and Chief Johnny Jennings, that purpose is moving forward.
Many of the officers who were injured on that day have returned to duty. This is a true testament to their resiliency and strength and dedication.
For the families, that purpose is moving forward with hope.
Never want to miss an opportunity to honor my best friend.
On April 29, 2024, Ashley Iyer lost her husband, CMPD Officer Joshua Iyer, along with Deputy U.S. Marshal Thomas Weeks and NC Department of Adult Correction investigators William Elliott and Sam Peloche.
I am so glad that you are still here. And I know for a fact that Joshua Iyer is so glad that you are still here too.
Tunnel to Tower Foundation supports young families like the Ayers who have lost a first responder, both financially through paying mortgages and emotionally through events like this. where 1,800 people climbed more than 1,400 steps, including former Panther Mike Rucker.
We play games in here. There's a lot of laughter in here, a lot of cheering going on in here, but we also want to reach out to the community. This is our house.
The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department making changes to support their officers as well, like bolstering the Office of Employee Wellness.
You can't hide from pain and trauma, but you can help deal with it by seeking counseling, by talking to one another.
That message coming from Chief Jennings.
It isn't just about grief, it's about hope.
Moving forward for the community and climbing with hope for the families. In Uptown, Julie Kay, WCNC Charlotte.
In addition to the Tunnel to Towers climb, CMPD is remembering those fallen officers with a new documentary. It looks back at the events of that tragic day with new interviews and the community's response. And you can watch that documentary on the WCNC Charlotte app. And tomorrow we're going to be airing a special at 5:30 p.m. taking a look back at that day, what has changed since, lingering questions, and remembering the officers. Starting today, we'll also be streaming coverage right here on WCNC+. Well, more severe weather is on the way today for parts of the Midwest. Chris is here now tracking that flooding across the country for us this morning.
And it was kind of like the Kentucky situation in that you had a tremendous amount of rain, but then you also had severe weather that was wrapped into it. So it's going to be followed by an epic tornado outbreak in some states like Iowa up into Minnesota, but we'll get to that in 1 second. Take a look at some of this video. This is from Oklahoma, and this excessive flooding caused rescue boats to actually be out there rescuing several people, and this is about 4 to 7 inches of rain that fell over the weekend, so that's all it takes. And emergency management officials had dozens of roads were completely blocked just because of the amount of water that was on there. Look at that. Whenever water is coming up to your wheels, you shouldn't be driving through it, where it's actually over 50% of all flooding deaths are when people try to drive through it in their cars. So a lot of people had to evacuate neighborhoods. One resident says that his neighbor's vehicle was even spotted floating down the river.
All of the cars are off the curve. My neighbor's car was floating down the river. Here earlier is a black Nissan. I don't know if they pulled it out. And I'm in a truck, and my truck has actually been spinned around a couple times. So.
And shelters luckily set up to help those people, but now we transition to problem number 2. That same system that was just bringing rain shower after rain shower through the weekend is now turning out to be a different problem. It's already dumped a lot of rain through parts of Nebraska up into South Dakota, but we've actually had reported tornadoes that happened late last night. Now everything is swinging into Minnesota. It's very rare whenever you see this color for your tornado threat. That's a 15% chance. And you might say, hey, that's not that high. Of course, I wouldn't take a 15% bet, but you also don't usually see a tornado circle this large. I think that literally through this stretch, even the areas in the red could have a significant threat for EF2 tornadoes. This wind's over 110 miles per hour. This is not a good setup. This right here is called a tornado parameter, and whenever you have a number, it's going to catch our attention. When I'm saying up to 1, oh wow, okay, we could have at least several tornadoes. Whenever you start getting to about a 4 to 5, that's off the chart. And that also represents long-range supercells, ones that are about EF3, EF4, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. See that spot? That's literally showing about a 5 to a 6. That's not good. So this is going to become a major story. It starts to fade out as it pushes its way further off towards the east. This system eventually will glide its way further off towards the Midwestern states from Illinois up through Iowa, Pennsylvania, New York. However, it is not going to do anything to the Carolinas and the mid-Atlantic states after that. Wednesday, there's a slightest chance for maybe some storms or rain in general on the western side of the Carolinas, but not here in the Charlotte area for your Wednesday. That's the only storm threat right around Oklahoma and Texas. You can see by our 1-hour Doppler radar that some clouds are pushing through the area, but then nothing's going to happen in the near term. But our upcoming rain chances from another front looks like it's going to be Thursday night heading into Friday, and then Friday late heading into Saturday. So there's still a lot of unsettled weather. It's really not until the front actually starts passing through the area, and that's to be Friday for our best rain chance. So just letting you know, if you're going to that Love and Life concert, there's a chance for rain for at least day 1, day 2, and 3 look okay. Right now, our next 7-day forecast looking to actually be pretty measly, the amount of rain, but of course that can change. Rain chances again Thursday, Friday, heading into early Saturday morning before we hit yet again another drying trend, and this is not good. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, we actually have a better chance of drier days than wetter ones, so the drought looks like it could get worse over the next couple of weeks. Becca, what's going on traffic-wise this morning to start off the 8:30 half hour almost?
Well, traffic has not let down as we take a live look outside. This is from northern York County, I-77 over towards Gold Hill Road, and those northbound lanes running especially slow, although no reports of an accident or incident on 77. So that's the good news on this Monday morning. Right now, drive times, Matthews to Charlotte, 29 minutes. Salisbury is now up to 57, Waxhaw 39, and Belmont 24 minutes. Here are all the active crashes across the Charlotte area, currently counting about 20. So if you don't have to venture out this morning, I would advise you not to do so. Newest crash on the board is going to be Cedars East Center. This crash being reported at Idlewild Road, causing some delays there. Then in Uptown, 3rd Street, crash being reported at the intersection of Davidson. And then over towards West Charlotte, Billy Graham Parkway, crash being reported at West Boulevard, causing some delays there. As we take a live look outside, this is I-77 at West Boulevard. It is running a little bit slow, of course, as drivers head inbound into Uptown Charlotte. Drive safe, y'all.
Well, we are going to take a quick break right now, but keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We'll have another update on weather and traffic in just a couple of minutes, and then we'll have more of the day's news headlines back here at 8:30.
Well, good morning, everyone. Today is going to be a picture-perfect day. If you loved yesterday, you're going to love today. We're looking at highs that are in the mid to the upper 70s across the afternoon. Some of us just tapping on that 80-degree point, close to 70 degrees up in the high country. What you see in the background is pretty much what you get. At worst, some hours could have a partly cloudy sky. And temperatures are going to be pretty mild going forward as well, dropping down into the low to mid 50s for a low tomorrow. So tomorrow morning is going to be our coolest low, and then temperatures ramping up. Check this out. 88 degrees on Wednesday, so that'll be one of our warmest temperatures we've had so far in 2025, and near 90 degrees, likely just settling out in the upper 80 range. And then we have the mid 80s on Thursday and Friday, but this is also when we start to see some introduced rain chances. I might even add one to Wednesday. So I think Wednesday late day, Thursday and Friday, we'll see some on and off showers, but then heading into Saturday, I think things are going to dry out. So days 2 and 3 of the Love and Life concert looking A-okay. But it's been a busy morning. That's what Becca's been telling me. Here's the full report.
That's right. And of course, one of the busy spots for that morning commute is I-77 at West Boulevard, just south of the John Milk Freeway. And it is slow moving in both directions. And here are all the active crashes we have across the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area. Now up to about 18 active incidents across the area, including this one. This is going to be at Cedars East Center at the intersection of Idlewild Road. And then at Uptown, got this new crash at 3rd Street, at Davidson Street. Then this one impacting Billy Graham Parkway at the intersection of West Boulevard. You'll want to drive safe.
Happy Monday. Thanks for joining us live on WCNC Plus at 8:30. I'm Lisa Washington.
And I'm Ben Thompson. Happening today, Charlotte Douglas workers expected to speak at tonight's City Council meeting, demanding higher pay and safer working conditions.
WCNC Charlotte's Destiny Richards is live this morning with a closer look at what they're asking for and how it could impact your next flight. Destiny.
Yeah, that's right. Last Tuesday, airport workers were rallying here outside of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Government Center, and they'll be back again tonight, but this time at the Charlotte City Council meeting to hopefully convince members to take action on wages and safety at Charlotte Douglas. Now, workers will be pushing for the Charlotte Acting for Safety and Efficiency Ordinance, or CASE. The proposal would set minimum wage standards, guarantee paid sick leave, and require stronger training for airport workers employed by private contractors. At the rally here in Uptown last week, employees spoke alongside leaders like Congresswoman Alma Adams and Councilwoman Tijuana Brown, calling for better conditions. One worker described how short staffing and rush schedules are creating serious safety risks.
The plane won't be moved until it's clean. I was getting rushed to do those planes, rushed to clean those planes, rushed to search those planes.
Workers say rushing through important safety procedures and working under those conditions not only puts them at risk, but could also impact flight readiness and passenger security. Supporters of CASE also argue that passing this ordinance would stabilize the workforce and improve overall safety at one of the world's busiest airports. And airport workers are expected to speak tonight at the public comment period at Charlotte City Council's meeting that's happening at 6 p.m. tonight. I'll send it back to you guys live here from Uptown this morning.
I mean, listen, you'll talk about just anybody and they will tell you Charlotte Douglas is the biggest economic driver of this city.
Yes.
And I'm sure these people probably feel like, oh, well, you know, we need a slice of that, or we need a bigger slice. And I think that's probably part of their frustration. But as we know, budgets are not always an easy thing to figure out, especially for a city the size of Charlotte. All right, Destiny, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, y'all. We are looking at Charlotte Motor Speedway, and right now it is looking like a day that is going to be worth to celebrate. Check it out. We have a lot of those upper level clouds, and current temperatures right now either side of 60 degrees. 63 right now in Charlotte, 55 in Concord, and then 58 degrees in Statesville. So yesterday we were at 75. The normal 77. We're slightly above normal, still near it though. And then I think that we reached the mid 70s by about the 1 o'clock hour, and then up to 77 by about 5 o'clock. Great for being outside. So shout out to Becca. She dug up this stat. This is actually the warmest April on record, and I might say, well, it could be close. Nah, we're half a degree above 2017 with 3 days to go, and our temperatures are going to be either near the average or well above it by 10 degrees. So this is going to be a smash. Final actually total might be a 66 plus. So the warmest April on record, and what's actually interesting is last year, 2024 was the 5th warmest April. So back-to-back years that we've been in the top 5. Thanks a lot, Becca. Big shout out. Good data. And that really just shows a testament of how we're going to be ending the month and starting the next. Right now here on our Doppler radar, you're seeing what's called Doppler garbage, meaning that you just have some misreads just picking up on some of the moisture. We're not going to see any showers or storms here. The only thing that's going to be turning down towards the south just off the Georgia shoreline. And we also could see a little bit of rain over in the eastern side of Tennessee. Nothing here in the Carolinas, though. 79, that's what we have in Charlotte. 77 around Hickory, and then the mid-70s for most of the afternoon, as I mentioned. And then tonight's forecast down in the lower to the mid-50s. This is going to be the coolest low that we have on the extended forecast, and then temperatures are going to be right back up and down before we're back around this range about a week from today. Tomorrow, the 80s. Hello, the 80s are upon us. We have the lower 80s tomorrow as the winds shift out of the southwest. And then Wednesday and Thursday, 88 and 86. Now, I did up Wednesday's percentage where I think we could have some isolated showers. It's going to feel a little bit more humid at that point. But then also Wednesday will be challenging the top spot for the warmest day of 2025. Of course, that'll be replaced by the 90s here a month or so from now. And I also brought up our rain chances for around Friday into a more scattered likely chance. Here's the reason why. That's where the actual front is going to arrive. So as of right now, this is really chunky data, meaning there's no real detail to it. We really won't know the real timing until we get more of the short-term models on Wednesday. But this is at least showing that we could have some green around the Benson Boone, Gwen Stefani close on Friday. But then Saturday and Sunday, if you have tickets to go to this epic concert, I don't think you have to worry about anything. It's going to be drying out and clearing out. So your weekend forecast, upper 70s. Today's forecast, upper 70s. This is really the in-between days that we have that peak up to 88 degrees. So the Charlotte Knights officially are back in town by tomorrow, and it looks like it's going to be a nice warm stretch for us. 88 degrees again, feeling more like June compared to what we should have as May officially begins on Thursday. So it's usually around this time that traffic starts to wind down, but I'm not sure how this morning's going, so I'm going to ask Becca.
Chris, it is starting to wind down, especially with the number of crashes. It went from 20 active incidents across the Charlotte-Mecklenburg to about 16. So that's the good news as you head outdoors. Live look outside from one of the nice spots this morning in North Charlotte. This is I-77 at Hambright Road in both directions, flowing fast and smooth. Still slow moving I-77 northbound in South Charlotte, and also slow 85 northbound coming from Gaston inbound into Mecklenburg County. And bam, here are all the active crashes across the area. Want to get to some of the newest ones, including this one, Rocky River Road, incident being reported at John Russell Road. And then just north of Uptown, Beatty's Ford Road crash also being reported near Mill Road. Both of these crashes causing just a few minor delays.
Thanks, Becca. We want to go live right now to Washington, where White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has started a briefing. Let's listen in to see what she's discussing.
40 executive orders already, rapidly approaching the total number signed by the Biden administration over the course of 4 years in office. Speaking of Joe Biden, it was his awful open border policies that recklessly allowed more than 10 million illegal aliens to invade the United States over the past 4 years. Innocent Americans like Laken Riley, Jocelyn Nungray, Rachel Morin, and so many others were viciously murdered at the hands of these illegal aliens as a result of Biden's dereliction of duty. That's why one of President Trump's central campaign promises was to secure the border and end this invasion. In just under 100 days, 99 now to be exact, the president has overwhelmingly delivered on that promise. America's borders are now secure because of President Trump. He has restored the rule of law, enforced our immigration laws, and defended America's sovereignty. The president immediately declared a national emergency on the southern border, deployed the U.S. military and Border Patrol to repel the invasion, and ended reckless catch and release policies. The results have been nothing short of extraordinary. Between President Trump's inauguration and April 1 of this month, only 9 illegal aliens were released into the United States, a staggering 99.99% decrease from the more than 184,000 illegal aliens who were released into the country under Biden during the same period last year. The number of unaccompanied illegal alien children arriving at the border has also hit a record low. Total attempted illegal crossings at the southwest border hit a record low in February, only to fall to another new record low again last month in March. Just listen to these incredible numbers. In March 2024, under Joe Biden, Border Patrol encountered approximately 140,000 illegal aliens at the southwest border. 1 year later, in March 2025, under President Trump, Border Patrol encountered just over 7,000 illegal aliens at the southwest border. That's another 95% decrease from the prior year. The first piece of legislation President Trump signed into law was the Laken Riley Act, which requires illegal aliens arrested or charged with theft or violence to be detained. President Trump also reestablished the successful Remain in Mexico policy from his first term to ensure that aliens who arrive at our southern border and claim asylum are returned to Mexico to await their hearings instead of being allowed into our country while they wait. The president has also restarted construction of his signature advanced border wall. More than 85 miles of new border barrier are already in various stages of construction and planning. And Border Patrol, in collaboration with the Department of Defense and the great state of Texas, have deployed 75 additional miles of temporary barriers across the southern border. The Trump administration, as you know, has also ended the disastrous CBP-1 app, which Joe Biden exploited to facilitate the migration of nearly 1 million illegal aliens into the country. The Department of Homeland Security has relaunched this as the CBP Home app to provide illegal aliens in the U.S. a straightforward way to declare their intent to voluntarily depart. For years, Joe Biden's weakness in open border policies allowed vicious cartels to functionally control, through a campaign of terror, rape, and brutal force, nearly all illegal traffic across the southern border. President Trump has put a stop to this in record time. He designated these heinous cartels as foreign terrorist organizations and invoked the Alien Enemies Act to immediately apprehend, detain, and remove these massive threats who have flooded our country with deadly drugs, violent criminals, and vicious gangs. The Trump administration is working 24/7 to successfully arrest and deport these illegal criminals and foreign terrorists from our communities. We are in the beginning stages of carrying out the largest deportation campaign in American history. Over this past weekend, it was announced that through Operation Tidal Wave, a joint effort between ICE Miami and Florida law enforcement agencies, nearly 800 illegal aliens were arrested during the first 4 days alone. Among those arrested were a Colombian murderer, alleged MS-13 and 18th Street gang members, and a Russian with a red notice for manslaughter. And on the other side of the country, in the early Sunday morning hours, DOJ and DHS together launched a joint raid of an illegal alien underground nightclub used by Tren de Aragua in Colorado Springs, Colorado. DHS took more than 100 illegal aliens into custody, and many drugs and weapons were also seized. Operation Tidal Wave is a preview of what is to come around this country. Large-scale operations that employ our state and local enforcement partners to get criminal illegal aliens off our streets. As always, President Trump and our entire administration are grateful for the courageous law enforcement officers who are putting their lives on the line every single day to protect their fellow Americans and to keep our country safe. After 4 years of being vilified and hamstrung by the Biden administration, heroic ICE and CBP officers finally have a president who has their backs and is allowing them to do the jobs they signed up to do. There's no person who can attest to that more than our incredible border czar here at the White House, Tom Homan, who has dedicated his professional career to protecting our country and enforcing the law. I will let Tom deliver some short remarks, and then we'll open it up for questions today. Thanks for being here, Tom.
Thank you. Just a few things. Look, I started in the Border Patrol in 1984. I've been at this for over 40 years. I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president ever worked for took border security seriously, because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in, right? Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border because they understood national security was important. Joe Biden was the first president in the history of this nation who came into office and unsecured the border on purpose. That's just a fact. We handed the Biden administration, after President Trump's first administration, we handed the Biden administration the most secure border in my lifetime, and he unsecured it on purpose. Now President Trump and this administration here, their success is unprecedented. We beat Trump's first administration on border success. Border numbers are historic low. Today, as I'm standing here, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation, and the numbers prove it. President Trump's policies are saving lives every day. There's been studies done that says 31% of women that make that journey through use of cartels get sexually assaulted. When President Trump has illegal immigration down 96%, when 96% less people are coming, how many women aren't being sexually assaulted by the cartels? How many children aren't dying making that journey? How many women and children aren't being sex trafficked into this nation? How many known suspected terrorists aren't making it into this country? How many pounds of fentanyl isn't getting to this country to kill young Americans? How many women and children aren't sex trafficked? Under Joe Biden, sex trafficking is up 600%. We had 4,000 aliens dying making that journey. We had 250,000 Americans dead from fentanyl that came across an open border. President Trump's policy saves lives every day. Even the border wall saves lives. The people want to hate on the border wall. Every place a border barrier has been built, illegal migration's declined, illegal drug flows decline. But you know what no one talks about? The border wall saves lives. Because the most vulnerable, the women and children, can't get over that wall, which means they're going to a place where there's not a wall. And what's waiting on them? The men and women of the United States Border Patrol who will take care of those humanitarian needs, the health needs right off the bat. We just went over the numbers. Let me talk about a few numbers that are important to me. Under the Biden administration, we averaged over 11,000 many days, over 12,000, even some days 15,000 illegal entrants in the United States. 15,000. You know what the number was last 24 hours? 178. 15,000 to 178. Unprecedented success. On an average day in the Biden administration, known gotaways. People we knew crossed the border because they're on video, drone traffic, or sensor traffic. Crossed the border, weren't apprehended, weren't fingerprinted, weren't vetted. Average day under Joe Biden, more than 1,800 gotaways. Yesterday, 38. 38 too many? We'll get that to 0. But we went from 1,800 to 38. And finally, that was said earlier, under the first 100 days, or it was actually January 20th to April 1st, last year, 184,000 illegal aliens were released into the United States. Under this administration, 9. 4 of them were material witnesses in a criminal investigation. We need them here to testify in a serious criminal trial. 4 was extreme medical condition. We couldn't return them because they were in such bad shape. And 1 was a humanitarian issue. This is unprecedented success. The border secure. President Trump saving lives. President Trump has proven no one does this better than President Trump. There is no equal, it's not even close. So God bless the men and women of the Border Patrol. God bless the men and women of ICE who strap a gun to the hip every day, put on a Kevlar vest to not only secure our border and protect our national security, but the ICE agents in the interior, they're removing public safety threats and national security threats every day. While you're all sleeping at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, there are men and women out there enforcing the law and making this country safe again. And we're going to keep doing it. It's full speed ahead. So I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom, and thanks for all your great efforts. We do want to open it up to questions. If you have border-related questions for Mr. Homan, and I'm also happy to take any non-border-related questions. I'm happy to take border questions too, but Tom is here offering his time, so we encourage you to ask him questions. We'll start with our new media seat today. As always, Rogan O'Hanley, former Hollywood entertainment lawyer, I didn't know that, Rogan, who got fed up with the far-left ideologies of California and now posts conservative political commentary online for his more than 7 million followers across all major platforms. He joins us today from the great state of Florida. Why don't you kick us off today, Rogan?
Thank you, Caroline. In Trump's first 99 days, we've seen a coordinated assault on the rule of law by radical judges who are thwarting his agenda with an unprecedented number of national injunctions. These judges are providing more due process to violent MS-13 and Tren de Aragua illegal aliens than they did for American citizens who peacefully protested on January 6th. As Stephen Miller has highlighted, it would be utterly ridiculous to have full trials and appeals for the more than 15 million illegal aliens that came across our border under Joe Biden. Many are now calling for Trump to circumvent these radical judges and consider suspending the writ of habeas corpus solely for these illegal aliens in accordance with the terms of Article 1, Section 9 of the United States Constitution, which explicitly allows for such a measure when there is a rebellion or invasion. There's strong precedent for this action, being that it was exercised by 3 of our greatest presidents, Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and Democrats' favorite president of all time, FDR. All 3 of which are not only celebrated by historians, but are immortalized on our national currency with their faces on there. Furthermore, all 3 used it against American citizens, where in this instance, we would only be using it against illegal aliens. I think almost every reasonable American would agree that 15 million illegal aliens coming across our border under Joe Biden counts as an invasion, especially since many, as you highlighted, are now robbing, assaulting, raping, and killing American citizens. Historic assaults on our republic require reciprocal action from our government. Can you please let us know if and when the Trump administration is planning to suspend the writ of habeas corpus to circumvent these radical judges who are infringing on his Article 2 powers and to start shipping out illegals en masse?
I have not heard such discussions take place, but I can assure you that the president and the entire administration are certainly open to all legal and constitutional remedies to ensure we can continue with the promise of deporting illegal criminals from our nation's borders. And I also agree with the premise of your question, which doesn't happen in this room often, but I do agree with yours. It is absurd that the previous administration was allowed to allow 15 million that we know about illegal aliens into this country with very little pushback from our judicial branch. But this president is trying to simply enforce our nation's immigration laws and is facing roadblock after roadblock. So we're complying with court orders, but as Tom Homan has said every day, we're going to continue to forge ahead with this mass deportation campaign, and the president is open to all remedies to do that. Thanks for being here today, Rogan.
If I can also answer your question, as far as the judges, look, we just arrested a judge, Pam Bondi, for impeding ICE enforcement removals. I said from day one, you don't have to support ICE's operations. You can support sanctuary cities if that's what you desire to do. Sanctuary cities can stand aside and watch ICE keep their community safe, because any public official, whether you're mayor, city councilman, or governor, their number one responsibility is protection of the communities. And ICE has been clear, we're targeting public safety threats and national security threats. I can't believe there's any elected official, and especially a judge, that doesn't believe we should be doing that, and they should be helping us. But I said from day one, you can sit aside and watch, you can argue against us all you want and protest all you want, but when you cross that line, I've said.
You have been listening to a White House press briefing there at the White House. Part of what the administration is marking first 100 days in office. You heard them go over some of the stats when it comes to deportations through the Trump administration so far. Listening what they call accomplishments. We should say the other side will also be highly critical because of due process or lack thereof when it comes to some of the immigrants. Part of the back and forth you see in Washington today, but that gives you a glimmer at least what the White House is saying this morning.
Correct. We know that illegal immigration and closing the borders has been one of the pillars of the Trump administration. So here we're just hearing some numbers in this briefing. Now we're going to move on and get an update now on our weather. I do believe Chris is standing by.
I'm over here. Hello. Good to see you. Beautiful day. Check this out. We just have some upper level cirrus clouds that are joining us, and some of us are going to be dealing with some mid to upper level clouds that'll provide a partly cloudy status, but that's the worst case scenario of the day. I think that's a pretty good worst case scenario. 63 right now. The warm spot, or should I say spots, that is around Charlotte, Shelby, also at 63. Morganton joining the 63-degree club. Goodyear. And then we're also looking at highs close to 80 degrees today. Yesterday we were in the mid-70s. Today we have the upper 70s to around 80 degrees, 70 degrees for you around Boone. So our normal high is 77. Today, 79. So slightly above normal, and this actually begins our above normal trend that's going to go on for the rest of this work week, and then we pretty much match the norm heading into the weekend. And now April officially comes to an end once we close the books on this Wednesday. But regardless, we're actually just going to probably warm up this average. So the monthly average is where you take all the highs, all the lows, add them together, and then you're going to divide by the appropriate number, and then that brings you to your average for the month. So our average, I think, is going to move up to about 66 degrees or 66.0 at least. So yeah, we're definitely going to be feeling a nice warm end to the month of April, which has had some ups and downs, but certainly a lot more ups. As far as our upcoming rain chances, mainly down to the south or to the west of us, we really don't have anything until a little bit later on. And then the low to the mid 50s overnight tonight heading into tomorrow. And then we have the mid 80s for some parts down to the southeast, low to the mid 80s across the greater Charlotte area for tomorrow's forecast. But what about the rain chances? We really don't see anything until I say late Wednesday. Now I did add Wednesday to the equation, and it's Thursday that I think is starting to see a better chance, more clouds, still very warm up to 86 degrees. But right now it's the front that's going to move into the area, and that always provides the most lift. That's on Friday. So Friday, we could have a slight chance for that heading into the weekend, but this weekend currently trending dry. All right, so one more time, Becca, how is traffic looking so far? Usually this time is A-OK compared to the others.
Yeah, rush hour traffic is starting to come up to the end over here as we we take a live look outside, this is over towards Huntersville, I-77, close to Samford Road. Traffic starting to calm down at both those north and southbound lanes. Got a couple of issues out there, including this one. This is a disabled vehicle on outbound University City Boulevard at John Kirk Drive, and this is currently blocking one lane of traffic. I'd say there's still pretty heavy delays setting up on 77 northbound over towards South Charlotte, but starting to see some of those delays start to die down, as well as 85 northbound coming from Gastonia to uptown Charlotte. Here's a couple of the new crashes that I've been looking at, including this one. This one is Rocky River Road crash being reported at John Russell Road, and then the Billy Graham Parkway crash also at West Boulevard, causing some delays there. Matthews to Charlotte still about 27 minutes. Salisbury will take about 51, Waxhaw 39, and Belmont an easy 24 minutes.
Well, we're going to take a quick break right now, but make sure you keep it right here on WCNC Plus. We're going to have another check on your weather and traffic coming up in about 2 minutes. And then we'll be streaming the headlines from the Live Impact News studio right here on WCNC Plus. Our own Nick Sturdivant will be there taking over. He'll have all the breaking news events as they happen from across our area and the nation right here on WCNC Plus.
Good morning, everybody. Who's ready for the Monday? If you're not, at least we have a great forecast, because yesterday, 75. I loved yesterday. I was out there grilling. Today is a great day to get outside and do everything under the sun, and we're going to have lots of it. Mostly sunny skies, winds out of the southeast at up to about 5 miles per hour at max 10, so barely a breeze today. And continuing forward, we're in the 80s tomorrow, near 90 on Wednesday, and then we start to see a return of a chance of a pop-up shower or thunderstorm late on Wednesday. We do it again on Thursday. Friday, things could be a little bit more widespread, so that's going to be a big question mark heading into your Friday evening, but drive by the weekend. Becca, what's going on traffic-wise?
All right, traffic's starting to settle down out there, but still a little bit slow moving, especially over towards South Charlotte. Live look outside from I-77 at Nations Ford Road. Southbound lanes looking good. It's just the northbound lanes running a little bit slow. Right now, looking at a disabled vehicle blocking one lane of traffic on outbound University City Boulevard at John Kirk Drive. Here's big picture. Still a little bit slow on 77 northbound, and new crash being reported in northeast Charlotte. This is Rocky River Road at Russell.